and welcome to Masterpiece Theater. Just kidding. What's going on, everybody? If you're old enough to get that reference, can you throw it in the chat? I'm a 80s baby. I was born in 1980s, and there was like late at night on the Disney Channel, you had Masterpiece Theater, which was like there was this old dude reading like from this beautiful red book, and he would always have like the best Disney cartoons, like the best Disney cartoons, the OG classics on Masterpiece Theater. And so tonight we have a classic gentleman coming up, and his name's Robert Miller. He's a buddy of mine. Robert and I actually met what was it, like 2 years ago, three years ago, actually, back in no, I take that back. Back in June of 2021, we went to a networking event in Miami. I didn't know him back at the time, but we met there on the first day, and I was like, man, this guy is sharp. I saw his stuff on social media. I was like, this guy knows where he's going. And over time, we just developed a relationship. He was working with a mutual friend of mine, and it just so happens that that mutual friend and himself were working to get in Bitcoin Algo up and running and getting it to market. And I said, "Oh, Bitcoin Algo, please tell me all about this." And one of the reasons that I was very intrigued is because the way I actually started in crypto was by teaching bot trading. And I used to use this bot called oh man, I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember. It'll come to me soon. I'll look it up. I have their Telegram here. But I went down this rabbit hole of this algo bot, and really enjoyed it. But then I started looking into DeFi because I saw that there was a little bit better passive income there, and it didn't require quite so much work. And what piqued my interest with Robert wasn't necessarily just that they had a bot. Everybody can find a bot or create a bot, using 3 commas or man, I don't know why I'm blanking on this bot. But anybody can basically create a bot or learn how to bot trade. But it's if you have a good algorithm, that's the difference maker here. And if you have something that is passive and very easy to use, well, that's how you're going to really, really do well, in my opinion, because it is very, very hard to manage a bot. The bot was called Bitsgap. I was just looking it up, Bitsgap. And they have like a great bot. It's a great way to like dollar cost average in or take profit on the way out. Very, very great bot. But again, what I realized was you needed to have a pretty good understanding about trading, which I did. I made tons of money, and was actually one of the main guys talking about it and teaching it on YouTube. And got a whole bunch of people referred to it, and they did well as well, the ones that were following me. But again, like the more I got into this, the more I was like, well, I want something even more passive if I can get that up and running. And so Robert's going to share with us here in a couple minutes his background. He got into than me, but probably made it bigger around the time that I got into crypto, which was around 2017, wheeling and dealing with shit coins. And that's really how I made, a good I shouldn't say made, because I did make some pretty decent money. Probably like at the end of the day, I doubled my money in all reality when it came to it, but I had probably quadrupled or quintupled my money at the height of the market, but I thought it was just going to keep going up and up and up, and didn't really take too much profit, which I learned that hard lesson from the last time. But Robert once he comes on, I'm sure he'll elaborate about the lessons he learned, because see, a lot of people, when they get into crypto, they go and they do the exact same thing that I did, or probably Robert did, or a lot of us do, which is we hold on for too long. We get into like the tribalism, we get into their telegrams or their discords, and it's just, a bunch of memes about how you're a puss if you end up, selling your paper hands. They like guilt you into it. And all along, they're probably dumping on you. And so I don't typically go for that. I look at, hey, what are these cryptos doing? In fact, I have a decentralized fund that I manage, and I was in there just the other day. We had probably made about 200 or 300% on one small cap crypto. And one of the junior managers came up to me and asked me, hey, what should we do with this crypto? Should we add more to it? And I said, well, let's go and take a look at, the liquidity. Is there people adding to it? Do they have new things coming up and running? And lo and behold, it was, the total value locked, or TVL, was going down. And I said, pull the trigger. Let's go. Let's get out of it. Let's get into something better. And we ended up doing that. But these are lessons that you learn over time. You've got to learn how to evaluate, when to get out. And these are some of the things that we teach. We show you guys what we're doing. And then it's up to you to make the right decision. But again, what Robert's going to be presenting tonight on the Bitcoin Algo is much, much different, because it is very hands-off, and he's got a track record to show for it. Full transparency, I haven't invested in it yet. I will be here in the coming weeks. I gotta set up my Binance.us account, which is one of the requirements. And I just got back from traveling all over South America, so I haven't had time to set this up. But when he shows you guys the track record on this, and again, I've known Robert now for quite some time, and his business partner for close to just about the same amount of time. And I trust these guys. I know that they're good guys, and that they're not here for the short term. And not just that, but you have custody inside of your Binance account, which I like. I'm not a fan of centralized accounts, but for something like this, I think it's good. I'm trying to squeeze them to see if we can get this Bitcoin Algo on maybe some decentralized exchanges. But there are some requirements, like the depth of liquidity, that do affect the algo. But again, you do have the custody in your Binance account. At least you have that. And it seems like they're probably going to be around here for a long time, given that they just paid the SEC a shit ton of money, and CZ has stepped down, which is he's the CEO of Binance.com, even though he wasn't the CEO or allegedly connected to Binance.us. It looks like they're gonna be here for the long haul. So I'm gonna bring on Robert, and we're gonna just talk about the market here for a little bit. Robert, what's up, my dude? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Thanks for having me on, and for everyone watching, what's up? What's up? Yeah. So like Gven said, I've been in crypto since 2015, 2016, and mind you, at the time, I was in college, so I didn't have a lot of money to dump into this stuff, but I learned crypto super, super fast. Like, I went down that rabbit hole, learned how all this stuff kind of worked at that time. It's changed obviously a lot since then, but I was playing and doing a lot of trading on exchanges that aren't even around anymore. Like, they got hacked or shut down and stuff. So learning a lot of that stuff, though, of trading, liquidity, playing with shit coins, then doing, meme coins, and just, figuring out how this landscape worked, as Gven said, could be very tribal. And so luckily I was able to, on the first run in 2016, 2017, 18 in there, caught a pretty good wave. But then we even saw the same thing in 2020. A lot of people tribalistic on, Shiba Inu or any of these other shit coins that are literally just pump and dumps. And so back around that time, 16, 17, a lot of people in my area didn't even know what like social media ads were, let alone crypto. Like, they had no idea that this stuff was going on. So quickly helped, just like Gven is doing for y'all, and what he's been able to do is bring together a community and help people with learning what a wallet is, learning how to even move money through the crypto ecosystems, and really starting to make money through some trades and some arbitrage opportunities. And so that's a little bit of my background. And like Gven said, we have some pretty cool tech that we'll show you guys here tonight. That's been running over the past 4.5 years. And we have a fund that we're launching in 2024. It's not really to talk about that here tonight, but a lot of people ask us, why even show this tech? Why even bring it to market? Well, when I first got started through that 16, 17, run, I had tried other algos like Gven was talking about. I tried ones that had leverage, meaning borrowed money in order to facilitate trades on exchanges. Ones that were taking kind of Forex, the Forex mindset of like 50 trades going on at once, trying to pull, a high frequency trade out to get small pip gains with max leverage. And that all goes well, but crypto is so small of a market compared to these well-established markets that Bitcoin can just sell off like crazy, and then that algorithm doesn't even work. And so you can't take something that's in, you can't take a baby that's going into its, second grade class or third grade class and give them college basketball shoes. It's not going to fit in them, right? Just because of the liquidity. So that's how I kind of got my start. I lost money in a lot of bots. I lost money on coins. I think everyone has. But I've been a big proponent of Bitcoin. I even wrote a book on it back in like 2016 or 17, just talking about Bitcoin. And just kind of been riding that wave ever since. So hopefully that gives you guys some good background. Again, Gven and I got connected a couple years ago. So I know, Gven, you're super big into DeFi. Let's talk about that for a little bit, and then we'll kind of hop back into the Bitcoin side. What have you guys seen, especially with what's been going on in this recent Bitcoin run? How have things looked on the DeFi front with this big pump that we've seen?
Bitcoin is still probably a little bit more up than a lot of the alts that we're in. We're really big on value crypto now. The days of shit coins are really gone for me. I'm looking for like, okay, what are the tokenomics? Who's still holding them? Who has the ability to dump on us? Have all the seed investors been paid out? And they've kind of dumped, and now the price really has nowhere but up to go based on tokenomics, right? And what kind of use cases do these cryptos have? Those are the things that I'm really, really looking for. In fact, I've got a list of about 30 cryptos right now that I'm breaking down, and I want to really nail it down to about 3 cryptos for my group that I'm going to be presenting within the next 3 weeks to them. But I think that DeFi and all the altcoins, excluding Ethereum, I think Ethereum's kind of big enough now to where it's outside of the altcoins. I think that it's really that there's some real upside momentum. We've had some really good calls over the last few weeks. We called Paid about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'm trying to get Kyle Chassé on the line. He's the CEO of Paid. Really cool guy, and I'm actually staked in Paid. They're a launch pad, so you're getting into like the IDOs very early. But I had a ton of Paid that I was sitting on, and I bought a $650 worth just the 4 weeks ago. It's now worth $10,000, almost $11,000 right now, and that's just in a few weeks. We have another one, Xperp, that we called, which is up like 600 or 700. No, actually, it's probably up like 800% today. I put in about $2,000 into that one. I dollar cost averaged in, and we're starting to see some real upside movement. But the traditional DeFi like Aave, FXS, Link, Chainlink has done relatively well this year, but it's not moving 800% yet. It's probably moved 100 or 200%, which is great. But we still see that there's a ton of upside potential. And for those of you who don't know how the markets typically move, it's usually Bitcoin first, then Ethereum, then altcoins. And so we're starting to see ETH starting to grab a little bit more traction. I don't know if you saw this, Robert, the other day, but Ethereum or JP Morgan Chase, even though we had this idiot, Jamie Dimon, sitting in front of Congress saying that to Senator Karen Warren, basically like I don't know how you guys have let crypto go this far. If I were you, I'd shut it down. And it was like, what the fuck? Like, are you guys for real? And
Yeah.
then literally just yesterday, I read an article that says JP Morgan Chase predicts that Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin. And I'm like, you guys are sitting here. So it's like, I just did a post on TikTok today that is just like, don't do what they say, do what they do. And for those of you who don't know, JP Morgan Chase has like, I think a 20% stake in Consensus, which is the company that basically develops Ethereum, and as well as MetaMask, which is their wallet. And they're just crushing it on their fees because you can actually swap using MetaMask, and it connects to decentralized exchanges. So I think that DeFi is really in my opinion, where the huge growth is going to be. But when you have something like an algo that can outperform, there's so many people that are just like, I'm going to just hold my Bitcoin and all this stuff. And look, if you're uber super conservative and you're a Bitcoin maxi, cool. But I'm always looking at like, okay, how can I maximize this? And I diversify, right? I'm not going to put all of my money in your algo. I'm not going to put all of your money in my managed fund. I'm not going to put all of my money into one crypto or another. I'm going to spread it out, right? Because if one does fall, and because you said that you got into BlockFi, right? And did you lose a little bit of money there?
Yeah, I mean, they're going through all their proceedings right now, but yeah, BlockFi and really just any third party that you're putting your money in has that potential. I mean, we even see that with banks too. So it's not a shame on the crypto industry for having that and trying to legitimize it. But like you said, you want to diversify because you never know what the counterparty risk is. You want to know what, have an allocation towards your own portfolio of your keys. You own your Bitcoin or you own your coins. And then the stuff that you're trying to gamble with, you're trying to trade with, that can be on, an exchange or a couple different projects to de-risk what you got going on.
Yeah. And, look, I ain't saying that DeFi comes without risks. It's just the risk is more on you, right? So like today, I don't know if you heard about this. Today, Ledger had an exploit to their Ledger Connect, right? Where people were connecting to certain DeFi sites and having their wallets strained. And so there is issues with DeFi as well. It's definitely wild, wild west. But I know you remember because you just got done saying that you got into all these failed exchanges back in 2016, 2017, 2018, even up until 2020, I would say. You had a lot of these exploits in the centralized exchanges. Now, you never hear about that shit anymore because the technology got better. They understood custody, but we're kind of like in that stage with DeFi. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that DeFi is 4 years old, coming on 4 years old, really. Summer of 2020 was the beginning. And that's when we first got in. Like we got in, we were the first ones through the door, and like we got shot, but we like lived. But now you have to be very, very careful because you connect to the wrong site, you get into a smart contract that hasn't been audited or is just a newer contract that, even though it's been audited, there could be an issue with it. And that's why like I don't go connecting my wallet to all sorts of shitty sites. I look for just like the best, stable, oldest sites now, and I only connect to those sites because the counterparty risk is already enough there. And I think that, if you guys walk away with one free bit of info tonight, like do not connect your wallets to whatever site. Like make sure it's really the OGs, and then keep an eye out, like be on Twitter, be in a community like ours where if something does get exploited, we're like chatting about it immediately. We're at everybody, on Discord, letting everybody know. But anyways, Robert, give me your take. Where do you think the crypto market's going? I know you're big on Bitcoin because that's what your algo is dedicated towards.
Yeah.
Where are we headed with Bitcoin?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and share screen because I got some cool insights and takeaways from some stuff that we've been working on recently. But from a high level, I mean, guys, the institutions are coming in, which not only legitimize this entire asset class, but it's going to bring a lot of great, not only regulation, but just great tools and infrastructure. Like we said earlier, there were some exchanges that may have gotten hacked in the past. There may have been these different security points of failure and stuff like that, right? That have happened in DeFi. And that happens as markets evolve and as markets grow. So we're at this very, very unique point in history, not just in our lifetime, but just in lifetimes in general, prior with generations, where we have a market developing. Like people think that the stock market's been around for 500 years, the same S&P 500. Like, no, these things have evolved and changed over time. New companies have gotten added to S&P 500 or, the NASDAQ. So when you're on the front lines and you can front run a huge momentum shift in how we even look at an industry, it is really, really big. So I'm bullish on Bitcoin overall because of all the institutional support coming. And as a result, it'll actually help go downstream to DeFi and to other sectors. But the reason why I'm so excited here, I'm going to share my screen so you guys can kind of see some of the stuff that we've been focusing on when it comes to why we developed out the algo, what we're using to actually pull profits out of the market for ourselves. But again, why we're so bullish with this institutional adoption is because when these guys slap their name on something, the BlackRocks of the world, Fidelity, it's not just an ETF that they make. I hope you guys know that. There's so many fees that come along in buying a mutual fund, buying ETFs that we even see today. I mean, Citadel, which is one of the interchanges between actually facilitating a stock on the back end, if you're buying it through Robinhood or whatever, they handle that interchange. They make billions and billions of dollars of profit every single year just by facilitating that. So there is a lot more money coming into the space and a lot more opportunity because of just the way that these guys operate. So I was making some tweets about it earlier, or some X posts. I don't even know what it's called now. But these guys are coming in and they're bringing all of the ways that they've made money in energy, all of the ways that they've made money with equities in the past into these markets. Okay. So the names on these ETFs isn't just to have a small pump with Bitcoin. Maybe it goes to 100 grand. It's a bigger deal. And I think a lot of people overlook that. And so that is happening actively now. And we all know about the Bitcoin halving. If you're unaware, happens every 3.5, 4 years. The next one's going to happen in April 2024. Essentially what happens is Bitcoin supply gets reduced in how much is released every single block that's rewarded. And so miners have to essentially work to solve these transactions, and they get rewarded less Bitcoin. So the less supply of something and the more demand for it, the higher the price goes. And so that's happened historically, as you guys can see it from time to time here. Now, something interesting that I wanted to give you guys some free value on that you aren't going to get for probably another 45 days as it's in production. I had Mr. Gary Cardone on my podcast here. I'm actually in the studio. I think it was like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And he's another really great prominent person in the space. And if you guys don't know much about his story, he was in the energy business a long time ago. And the way that they made money by securitizing and auctioning and putting options on top of energy or on top of a commodity is what made the Enrons of the world super successful. I mean, Enron, they did blow up, but other energy companies cleared billions and billions. I'm talking like 30-40 billion dollars per year just by facilitating these fees and just by facilitating these markets. So it's going to be a full jam-packed podcast, guys. So I want to give you this is going to be coming out in, I think, January 2024. It's him and I going over this for probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I want to give you guys the key insights and takeaways that I got from talking with him, because this guy, he's had like 3 exits. He's well worth over, multiple 9 figures. And so he and I spoke, and I want to give you guys these 5 things that he left me with. And what makes me so excited about Bitcoin and even some of the collaborations that are occurring between him and I behind the scenes is, first, whenever you're investing into something, whether that be DeFi, whether that be Bitcoin, is to understand your cost basis, right? So if you buy a full Bitcoin at 60 grand and you held all the way through the cycle and you saw it down at 20 grand, most people would look at that as, oh, I lost a bunch of money. When in reality is if you bought another Bitcoin, if you bought it at 60 and you bought it at 20, your cost base is now in the middle, right? And so you can be back in the money by dollar cost averaging into the project or to Bitcoin specifically. By the way, guys, this is not obviously financial advice, but that thinking changes the way that this market will be approached, because a lot of us have been through the Telegram groups, the Discord chats, and all the other, punking of getting into a crypto asset. And that's just so retail. That's just so unprofessional overall. And so what we were talking about is, if we really think with all this, money coming in from institutions, is going to go to 800K, $1 million a coin, then you got to start treating it that way, right? Meaning that you got to secure profits when you want to secure profits. And if you choose to secure profits, then you need to know the accounting behind it. Like, what happened? How much do we actually owe in a capital gains? Why is it that we're willing to exchange that? Did we get it from mining? Did we get it from other sources as well? Like, how am I accumulating Bitcoin, right? And so the goal that I have with our algo and just with what we're doing is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible, securing profits and, reinvesting those into Bitcoin to compound over time. And so as we see this stuff kind of develop, there's going to be a lot of clarity around January 8th, which consequently is my birthday. So it's going to be a great birthday, as we're going to get some great crypto news. But one last thing too, guys, that he left me with, and it was actually pretty shocking, because there's a lot of people in investments that will say diversification, and I've been a proponent of that to some degree, just depending on the stage of life that you're in. But he operates very, very differently, and I think it's very similar to Grant Cardone, which you guys probably know, which is invest in what you know, right? And so, as wealthy as these guys are, they only invest into X amount of things. That could be 3 to 4 things, and they go all in on those. So instead of like chasing every single coin project out there, guys, like, come up with your investment thesis of what you think is going to occur, where you want to see, that growth in your portfolio. There's a time to get out of the shitcoin projects. There's a time to get out of that stuff if you start to play that game. But I'm looking on a longer time horizon than a whole week pump, So, and also it stresses me out. Like, I've played in that game a little bit. Like, you gotta exit the right time. You gotta have your limit orders in the right time. Or if it's DeFi, you gotta make sure there's enough liquidity there. And it's just a game that what was given to us to play, rather than looking at the big picture. So I think a lot of it keeps us distracted from what's really going on. And when we were talking kind of offline, he's like, dude, what you're doing with your algo is great. It's not an endorsement from him, so I don't want you guys to just, go get the algo because I said that. But we were just talking and kind of the plans that we have for our crypto communities and all that. He's like, dude, this is awesome. This is really, really cool. I like what you got going on. So, so the reason why I think that we're going to start seeing this, maybe this is the first time that you guys have seen or even heard of Bitcoin algos and stuff like that, is because just like Gven said, DeFi is very young. Crypto as an industry is very young. But very quickly, especially as AI has come out, we're seeing more institutions starting to leverage this and that technology leak down. And so I want to play this quick clip from Ray Dalio here, giving a really, really good overview as to how investing is changing in markets. And this first started with equities before it got to crypto. But I think it's good to hear from him because he's a billionaire. He's has one of the biggest funds in the world, if not the biggest. So I want to go ahead and play this quick clip from him and then continue on. So let me know if you guys can hear this.
Ago, I started writing down my principles in words, and then they became encoded in algorithms. We built systems, decision-making, computerized decision-making systems, and there was a great power, and I've watched the whole arc of this, and I know the power. It is stupid. It is archaic for people to think that decision-making just in their heads is going to be good. There has to be a partnership between what's in your heads and what the computer does, because it's so much powerful in so many other ways. So I think it's part of the whole evolutionary process. You know, it wasn't that long ago in a historical sense that we were in the agricultural area, and people were like oxen. That was their whole purpose. They would dig. And then our physical was replaced.
Yeah.
We had the Industrial Revolution. Well, basically higher and higher, and our intellects are being, now that's going to take a partnership between those two things, in my opinion, to create this great leap forward. Then in terms of investing, you think, okay, where do you invest? There's a temptation to invest in those companies that are making the technologies, which is understandable. But the biggest effect are going to be on those who use it.
So I'm not sure if you guys caught that last part. He said there's a temptation to invest into companies that go build the tech, but the ones that use it are the ones that get the most benefit. And so for us, it's not just Ray Dalio, you know, talking about it. Stanley Druckenmiller is also talking about it, another billionaire. And he's mostly in the equity space, but he also loves Bitcoin. Okay. Especially in inflationary bull markets, which is what we're seeing with crypto. And we're in an inflationary period when it comes to our goods. So when all these guys kind of line up and say, hey, algos are kind of the way to start looking at investments, or having some algos in your portfolio, as well as just which asset classes are poised to grow, that's what really for this to the market, because there's an opportunity here, not only to help people create a cool community and bring people in, but also to help them with institutional grade technology, because it hasn't been available in the past, you know, to myself or even others until we started to really develop this. And the reason why I think it's so important to cover that is because just this past week, guys, we had a flash crash in Bitcoin. And long story short, a lot of people that were betting on Bitcoin going up kept putting in leveraged positions, and they got wiped out. There's a $333 million position, or a group of positions rather, liquidated, which means, hey, we were betting that the price was going to go up, that Bitcoin's going to 50K, whatever, and it reversed, and people lost $333 million. That's what made Bitcoin drop from 43,000 down to 41,000.
Now they got liquidated, Robert, because they were using leverage, obviously. So like, you're not going to get liquidated if you're just holding spot Bitcoin.
Correct. So these are people, that's a good point that you made. If I invested like $1,000, right, and I took a leveraged position and I put my leverage at 5x, that means that I have a $5,000 trade. And so if it goes up 10%, on 5,000, I made $500, but I only had 1,000, right? So I made 50% of my money. That's why leverage is good in bull markets when people look at it that way, but it has a double-edged sword. And crypto is so volatile because there's such lower liquidity than other markets that we saw people that were betting with all this leverage. As soon as Bitcoin went under those price levels, boom, just started to hit all those people, and basically the exchange does not want to lose money. So if they see that Bitcoin's crashing and you have all these bets with their money that it's going up, they're going to liquidate you. So I don't know exactly what the leverage on this was. It could have been, 1 to 3x. So it's $100 million in cash taken out because people were using leverage. And so I've played the leverage game in the past. Scary. Don't like it. So what we do, we use spot trading, which is if you put in $1,000, your trade is $1,000, or you can set the setting, but it's for what the dollar amount is rather than taking on leverage. That's a good point, Gven.
Yeah. And I actually do use leverage. I only use decentralized exchanges though. I've done a YouTube video on Quenta. If you guys want to go check it out, it's on my channel. But I use very, very low leverage, and I use something called a 3-bullet system. Actually 2-bullet system, sorry, where I make sure that I just basically keep, if it does go down, I don't get wiped out when it goes through. I actually, like I said, I have a video on that, but I would agree with you. Like anything over 3x leverage for me in crypto is like uber dangerous unless you really, really have the time to be watching it and making sure that you're adding collateral to make sure that you don't get liquidated, because liquidations are a real thing. I've gotten liquidated, luckily not huge amounts, but enough to be like, oh, that's how that works. And that would have been really uncomfortable if I would have had $20,000 or $30,000 in that.
So. Yeah, for sure. No kidding. I mean, that's why leverage is if you use it right, there's a way to do it. But crypto moves so fast, like you said, active management needs to occur. And I know that adds a lot of stress when you're playing high leverage and stuff. So it's not a mass market thing to do. Like my grandma, she asks me all the time, my grandpa and my grandmother, like, hey, how many Bitcoins do we have? I'm like, what? Bitcoins. Oh, Bitcoins. Okay, cool. Like they're not going to use leverage. That trading product is not designed for them. They just want exposure, right? Which is why the institutional stuff is going to be a really, really big deal to protect people from their own mistakes, number one. But two, like we saw here, people using leverage that maybe shouldn't be using leverage, getting hit. I mean, this is going to happen in the crypto markets, regardless of you using leverage or not. Like this is going to happen because people get greedy, but also people don't know proper risk management, cross leverage versus isolated and stuff like that. So to kind of bring it back to what happened here with our algo, the algo watches exchange volumes and the liquidity that's actually moving through. So whether they're order blocks or whether they're just mass changes in market sentiment, it caught this trade and essentially acted like a paranoid babysitter for those of you that got kids. Before it fell down and before it hurt itself, before it crashed, it pulled out. And you can see that here with this red arrow and the sell sign here. And it repurchased back at a lower price point where the green arrow is. And you can see here my thesis that I was talking about earlier, my position is that, hey, I want to stack more Bitcoin over time. And it exited a trade, which was valued at 0.28 Bitcoin, 0.285, and executed a trade at 0.296. So it gained 0.011 Bitcoin. Okay. Now this is just on a $10,000 account. So rather a small account. Now, what we're doing with our fund and some of the other stuff where there's bigger position sizes, I mean, $100,000 trade position on this would be, 10x of what we're seeing here. So it could have picked up a full 0.1 Bitcoin just by actively managing that, right? And that's the power that we see of not only been using this thing for quite some time, but of why we're offering it to people is because of that. It's active management for you. And like Gven said, you choose the exchange that you work with. Okay. So what's cool about all that is that we know Bitcoin's going up. We know we're going into this bull cycle, or I'd say there's a great chance and a great probability of it. We don't know anything for certain. But what we don't know is just that when is it going to start just going colossal and just going through the freaking charts when it's just rocketing up. We don't know what the price will eventually get to. We don't know how many times these liquidation events are going to occur or how many times it's going to drop before it gets there. Okay. So why we like the active management software solution is because we've been running it for quite some time. The orange line here with these results, by the way, is what the algorithm actually had for the balance of the account compounding over time. And the gray line is just showing what you would have had to ride if you were just doing the emotional roller coaster of buying and holding. So 2021 was a bit of a bullish year. Bitcoin did 65%. Our algo, that portfolio balance, increased by 207%. Okay, so on a 10K account, grew by $20,741. Okay, spot trading, no leverage. Now in a bear cycle, what happened in 2022 is that Bitcoin had gone down about 65% with the snapshot here. And our portfolio went up about 143%. Okay. And it's just by buying and timing those entries and exits without, again, you have to do it. Now, this screenshot here was done a little bit earlier this year. This was in June, where Bitcoin was at about 86%. Our algo was at 93%. Just at the beginning of last month, we were at 132%, and Bitcoin was at 85 or something like that percent, because quarter three was a bit interesting for Bitcoin. So we see that spread really start to happen. But like I said, it gets in and out of the market for you. And what's really cool is that this isn't a crazy complex algo to get set up on as an end user. We've spent about 8 or 9 months developing out this project to make it user friendly for our customers that want to license this from us. And so the way that it works from a high level is that you obtain a license to the AST program, which is Algorithmic Spot Trader, for those that are wondering. You essentially put your own funds in the exchange that you choose to work with. So for your audience, we have Binance.us for US citizens. We have Binance.com, and we have KuCoin. Okay. So any three of those exchanges it works for. And we're also in the development right now of Coinbase. Okay. And so Coinbase has been going through some tweaks and changes with their futures products and their spot products for their pro accounts. And so we are finalizing that. That's going to be released in 2024. And so that is what we're really, really excited about, as Coinbase will be a central hub for a lot of the volume coming in for institutions. Now, essentially, the third part of all of this is watching trades in your very own portal account. And I'll show you what that looks like here in just a second. So that's from a high level how this process works. Our track record and our reporting is third-party audited on this algorithm. We needed it for our fund and what we were going to be doing anyways, guys. So this was given as an opportunity for people to start using institutional grade technology and not having to invest the amount of money that we have. We've spent millions of dollars on this, guys. And so what people get if they decide to actually move forward with the algo here, and I'll show you what that looks like next steps, but you get a complete onboarding guide and video trainings walking you through on how to set it up. It's about 7 clicks from literally starting to getting it set up. It's not a complex process. I worked on the dashboard development here and worked with the devs on it to make it super, super simple. We're also giving you guys more crypto education. I know Gven's done a great job in his communities of that, and specifically in the DeFi space as well. So our education may have some overlap, but a lot of our stuff is focused more towards institutional stuff and Bitcoin and a little bit more in that direction as that market is developing. And so we essentially go over some of the basics, but also go over that. And then you also get access to a community where you share your wins. We go over case studies, and we go over that from a super high level. And we have people that are joining in and sharing their wins and stuff like that. So along getting started with us, guys, you get the community, you get the license to the algo. You also have dedicated support teams for you guys that are actually, live in there for you. So let's go ahead and hop into the algo and actually show you guys what this portal looks like, because I'm super proud of it. I know the team has been putting in a lot of work for it as well. So as you guys can see here, this is a live account. Okay. This is the dashboard. This is the cockpit. So a lot of times when we trade in crypto, or if you have traded, it's hard to figure out what is going on, not only with your trades, how much profit do you really have, and pertinent loss. I know for DeFi is another big thing. So you're able to look at the course of time of how long not only the algo is running on your account, but what happened during each period. So if I showcased here, let's just do a custom range from, let's just say October 1st till now on this live account, you can see that we're up about $3,000, $33,111 on this account. Okay. And what we can see is during that time, the win percentages that have occurred. And what's important is that because it's not a leveraged trading algorithm, the win percentage, hell, could be 10%, and I'd still be happy with the profits, because one trade, as you can see, some of these green candlesticks are super long on some of these trades, right? So spot trading is different than leverage trading, but overall, this is your cockpit to see the performance, how well it's doing, and what's even going on with the halving and some of the fundamentals that go on to crypto. The way that we set everything up, we walk you step by step through, but you guys can see the exchange, you guys can see the accounts, you can see the trade history. And at the end of the year, because tax season comes up, we got to love tax season, you can download your performance reports and your trade reports. Okay. So all of this is accessible again, it's mobile friendly. It's easy to use. You get direct access to the course and the community just from the platform here, but you're able to see from a high level how things are actually unfolding. So that's what it looks like, guys. Again, it takes 7 clicks to get it set up. And I want to share with you one thing here that I thought was really, really cool. In the past 55 days, this is a screenshot of what I just showed you guys. We secured 38% profits just in the last 55 days. So if you had gotten started with us, what is that, 60 days ago or 70 days ago, and put 30K into a trading account, you would have already had enough to pay for the annual license and an additional $3,000 in profit, in secured profits, not buy and hold. Bitcoin's still going. I'm hoping and praying that now's the best time to get out, but actual secured profits that you could have withdrawn, I should say, because it goes between Bitcoin and USDT. So it just toggles between those two. You can turn it off, turn it on anytime. You can remove your funds at any time. It's your exchange account. Okay. So if you do want to get started, we're going to open it up for some FAQs here and then some Q&A. So let me go ahead and run through that real quick, and then we'll open it up. So essentially, we have a software agreement for you guys. You get instant access once payment is complete. We take Bitcoin, Wire, or USDT. And so usually we get hit with a lot of these questions. And so I'll just run through them for you guys real quick, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Q&A could be on the markets. It could be on the Bitcoin algorithm itself. And so we can go ahead and it trades 24/7, guys. That's typically the one question we get all the time is when does it trade? It's because it's crypto. It's 24/7, like we know. There's no profit share associated with this. So you guys keep 100% of your own profits, and you will have a personalized outcome. Like if Gven and I both got the algo, he started 30 days later, the outcomes of the algo are going to be completely different because he funded it with a different amount. He got started at a different amount. So that's why we don't do profit sharing. And it's a hands-off model. So he sets up his account. I set up my account, and I haven't really checked it over the past week or so, except for that liquidation event because I wanted to see how it did then. It works for people inside and outside the United States. And we are using this in our fund, like I said. So why license it out? Because I love helping people, love bringing the community together. I know Gven and we met in an event. I want to host events next year and do the same thing and give opportunity for people to collaborate, connect, etc., and also help them.
Let's do an event together.
We totally have to, man.
Let's do an event together. I'm thinking of doing it down in Mexico. What do you think?
Mexico's cool. We could do, during the summer, like a Tulum vibe, or we can do like a yacht thing. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I know you just hosted a cool event out in like some island. Yeah, in
Panama. Yeah, we did it in San Blas. But I'm feeling like Mexico right now is so hot. So hot. It's growing like crazy. And there's a big crypto community down in Tulum. So maybe we can definitely do a cool drop in the chat if you guys want to go to Tulum with us and meet up with us. We're going to give all sorts of alpha.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be really, really cool. I got to get down there. Last time I was there was middle of COVID. I actually spoke at a mastermind. So it's been some time.
Nice.
So yeah, guys, last question that we get asked all the time is how much does it cost and what should you put in your trading account? We usually sell this license for the year between $12,000 and $15,000. Gven's a great buddy of mine. We're working together. And so you guys are going to get an exclusive price of $8,000 one time for the year, guys. We can break that up in some payments quarterly, but guys, like this is a special offer for Gven for us hosting this webinar here tonight. So if that's something that you are open to and you want to explore and go ahead and get this synced up into your account, we're going to go ahead and drop a link here in the chat. If you want to take a couple moments, maybe 10 seconds here, if you want to scan the QR code for the next week or so, you guys can book this directly onto my calendar. I can answer any questions and get you guys set up. We'll get you guys payment instructions and kind of moving forward there. Going forward, it'll be with one of my team members. They'll be able to get you the information and be able to follow suit and proceed. But yeah, so with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. We can open it up for Q&A. If we drop that link in the chat here, that'd be awesome. You can book a call with me and we can go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and open up for Q&A on the crypto markets and let's definitely talk about it.
Let's see here. Definitely Tulum. All right, we got some people how about Puerto Rico? Dwayne Mooney, of course. Dwayne Mooney wants Puerto Rico. I love Dwayne. He's actually a good buddy of mine. Let's see here.
I was
Go
supposed
ahead.
to be in Puerto Rico this past week, but I had so many meetings Monday and Tuesday. I couldn't find a time where I couldn't be on them. But Puerto Rico is also popping off too.
Yeah, Puerto Rico's what Puerto Rico has is, as a crypto person and a U.S. Citizen, you can move to Puerto Rico and you can be there. I think, what is it, like 6 months and 1 day out of the year, and you have to set up like a special entity out there, but you don't pay any personal income tax if that entity is in Puerto Rico. But I don't know, man. Puerto Rico, I like Puerto Rico, but I'd rather go to Tulum, to be quite honest with you. From what I've heard, I know that there's a lot of crypto people over there, but so let's see here. Who's got questions? Who's got questions? If you guys want to drop the questions in the chat. I know. So the cool thing that drew me to this algo, everybody, is that it wasn't using leverage. And it doesn't mean that I'm afraid of using leverage. It's just that you want to be very, very careful, because when you're using leverage, your entire position can turn into vaporware. And that's a big problem that a lot of people have with leverage. They get into something and they don't realize that it can just go poof. And I learned this very, very early on in DeFi, because I got into what's called a borrowing and lending protocol, where you can put up your Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance coin, whatever, up as collateral. Mm-hmm. And I ended up taking out 80%, or the maximum that I could take out against it. And the problem is, once it hits a certain threshold to the downside, then what happens is the smart contracts automatically liquidate a certain portion of your portfolio, and that crypto is forever gone. And so this is one of the things I'm gonna actually be setting up my bot here this weekend. So I want to make sure that I start taking advantage of this, because it is again, it's another good friend of ours. His name's Wences, and he's been in this and is an investor who I actually really, really respect as well, along with Robert. But Dennis says that the QR doesn't seem to work. The QR code does not seem to work, Robert. Ali asks, how is the trading done, pair trading BTC and USDT, for instance?
Yeah, so good question. Let me just send Dennis the link here. For some reason, if that QR code isn't working for y'all, that'll book directly on my calendar. I got some slots open tomorrow, so you guys can literally fill them up tomorrow. Grab a slot. Next week I'm traveling, and it's also the holidays and stuff, so definitely we have a unique kind of time window here for that. But so the algo, it trades between Bitcoin and USDT only. So it's not taking on leverage, like Gven said. It is only trading between those two pairs. Now, you can set it up to go with USDC or with BUSD, but we see the best liquidity in exchanges with USDT. So it goes into a stable coin that we support, but USDT by far has the best liquidity in this market. They're the giants. And until Circle kind of gets caught up a little bit, then we'll potentially recommend that. But right now we recommend USDT, as it is a more of a stable crypto asset. It's been around the longest. There's a lot of other companies depending on USDT. So that's kind of the giant in the stable coin space. So that's where we've seen the best profits, especially with Binance.us, because the fees are very low. The profits typically compound very, very well there. Binance.com as well. KuCoin just operates a little bit differently, but we still see great returns over there. And that's just with every exchange, right? Every exchange is not going to produce the same result, even in a DeFi pool. Every exchange is not going to do the same exact trade unless it has the liquidity there. So that's why we support those three for now. Coinbase coming out later, but I hope that answered your question in regards to what it trades between and how that works.
Let me just throw this out here, because I like to disclose, because we have a lot of responsibility here, even though we're not financial advisors. USDT is not my favorite pair or favorite stable coin, even though it has been around the longest. I just hear too many horror stories about the potentials of USDT, and while it hasn't come unpegged, keep hearing from people way higher up than me that just be mindful of it. However, if you want to use USDT as opposed to USDC because it is a more liquid pair, like Robert says, there is insurances like Nexus Mutual, which is literally DeFi insurance. You can go and purchase some of their tokens and you buy into a policy just in case USDT comes unpegged. And that's kind of a cool feature, and it's not very expensive from what I remember. So if you guys do want that, I would say in full disclosure, or you can fly, with no parachute. That's cool. And USDT still here. We're probably going into a bull run now. It's probably, not going to come unpegged anytime soon, but I don't know what I don't know. Robert doesn't know what he doesn't know. And probably even a lot of these people way higher up than us don't know what they don't know. So I would definitely, if you're more on the side of cautiousness, because I know that somebody's probably going to drop this question in the chat, you can go to Nexus Mutual and insure your USDT stack up to a certain point, just in case you get caught with your pants down on that. So let's see here.
Sure thing. And one thing about that too is that could switch to USDC. Like, we have the support for it, right? As crypto goes through more regulation, this market moves very, very fast with what's legit, what's hot, what's not in general. It's an easy toggle on the end user's end, your guys' end, or even my end on our side for my algo account or whatever. So that, like Gven said, like, there's always the counterparty risk in any of these crypto assets overall. But as you play in this market, you guys will get updates from Gven on his YouTube channel or on mine or through communities and stuff. And that's why it's really, really important to be tapped into different groups that know what's going on. But full disclosure, I don't know what's going on with USDT on that level either. So good point. Good point.
Yeah. So Ali says 38% profit per month, 55 days. That's about 0.69% per day. Ali, let me tell you this, man. If you have somebody telling you a per day guaranteed, thing, the only thing I can guarantee is that is a guaranteed Ponzi scheme. So don't look at it that way. There's days that are going to be way higher. There's days you may even be down a little bit. You may have a drawdown of some sort, but I would definitely look into that. Dennis is saying, Robert, that there's only one day to book, the 15th. Is that right?
The 15th is tomorrow. That is correct. I can check the calendar right now.
Yeah, but maybe we can add some more days there.
Yeah, let's see what's going on.
Yeah, I know it's a new link. So, all right. Well, while Robert's looking for that, I'm gonna start to close it up here. I appreciate you guys all being here. Hopefully you learned something. I know that, again, I'm gonna be putting some money into this algo. I'm actually pretty excited about it. I was on vacation, and so I didn't get a chance to do it while I was there. I just didn't want to think about crypto except for maybe just theoretical stuff and just some research into some new cryptos. But outside of that, I wasn't really looking for, how I can make some passive income. But I think that this is safe to say that they've got a good track record and they have a pretty good background. So anyways, anything you want to share, Robert, before we get off?
Yeah. So real quick for Dennis, I just put in the chat on our side here. If we can get him that calendar link, he can directly do that. So let's go ahead and drop that one for him. Because I do know that when I look at it, it shows Tuesday through Friday next week open. So let's make sure that we get you a spot that works, Dennis. But yeah, like Gven said, this market is going through a lot of adjustments, a lot of changes. We're seeing a bull run happen, or we're on the precipice of it, I should say. We're seeing a lot more volume coming in. So 2024 is going to be a really big year in my belief. And like what we said here today, guys, if you take one thing away from, I know Gven had some great stuff earlier, but you can take one thing away from me is secure profits along the way with whatever crypto assets that you're involved in. I would convert that into Bitcoin because we're seeing a lot of institutions really start to get involved here. So this isn't going to be like the prior cycles. We'll see a lot more support. We'll see a lot more programs and technology coming out to support this industry because these guys know how to make money on top of a traditional trade that we have seen in prior markets where people are using leverage or people are trading. These guys wouldn't get involved if they didn't believe that Bitcoin was here to stay. They would not get involved if Bitcoin didn't actually pass all these tests that Bitcoin has actually had over the past 10 years. So that's a safe bet for me. And when you look at the numbers of what's occurred with Bitcoin, especially since 2020, it's a no-brainer for me, guys. So I would say buy Bitcoin, secure profits along the way if you're taking other risks in other asset classes, and have a long-term outlook, not a day-by-day percentage gain, but what it does on your portfolio over the long term, because there's very, very few assets and very, very few opportunities that we're seeing now that have the risk to reward that it does, with the support and with the momentum and with the external factors actually occurring to prop this up. And there's a lot of macro factors going on. So thank you guys for having me on. Gven, it was great doing this webinar. We'll have to do it some more sometime. Definitely we're throwing that event in Mexico. But guys, thank you. Looking forward to speak with you guys for that. Those have booked the appointment. And then going forward, if it's not with me, guys, and you're speaking to my team, they'll take great care of you. We only have our great advisors on these calls. So with that said, we'll see you guys in the next stream. Talk to you soon.
See you guys later.